Are you ready to get hurt? Hey there, I'm Micah and welcome back to Rare Plants in Paris. And this is tea time. This is where we spill the tea on our beloved houseplants and everything that revolves around them. Humans, sellers, buyers, customs, name it. All for the sole objective, which is to educate and to help out. Because behind every great collection, art, Yeezy, plants, whatever it is, are stories. A rare plant from the mountains of Ecuador, a Michelangelo hanging in your New York apartment. Those are not effortless, honey. Those are filled with stress, legalities, conversations, human emotions, taxes. To start, I want to talk to you today about the Philodendron Lynnhannoniae. Am I saying it right? Lynnhannoniae. Lynnhannoniae. So, you must be watching me right now because either I forced you, hi mom, you are looking for information about this specific plant, which there isn't really much online right now, or 3, you already know what I'm talking about and you come here for therapy. Come here. So if you remember from my last unboxing video, I recently bought a Philodendron Lynnhannoniae. We're gonna call her Lynn, okay? Just to make it short. It's actually my last plant of the year. I was really over the moon ending my plant haul for 2020 on a good note. I honestly didn't know about Lynn in the past. I only knew about her because one of my favorite sellers, she was selling it and I saw it on her Instagram and I was just like, wow, amazed. It's just really one of those love at first sight moments. So I bought her, I did unboxing, etc. It was perfect because for my birthday, my friend Ali gave me this cylindrical black slate terracotta pot. It's not like your ordinary terracotta. It's like a little bit colder to touch, kind of like matte but glossy. I couldn't think of any more perfect plant, none other than my Lynn. So on a scale of common to basic rare to unicorn to holy grail, Lynn sits kind of in between of rare to unicorn. It's really rare. There's not a lot of information about it. It's from Ecuador or Colombia. It's not something you see sold often in the plant market right now, but at the same time, it's not so expensive. It's still kind of tricky. Anyway, when I got her, I placed her among my other rare plants. We are actually transitioning to winter. We're still autumn at the moment, and we would have just really cloudy days that would go on for weeks. Welcome to Paris. She was getting 2 to 3 hours of bright indirect filtered light. The sun sets around 4:30 to 5 p.m. A supplementary of 8 hours more of grow lights. Of course, she's in an airy, well-draining aroid mix. Humidity is always at 60 to 70%. Room temperature is between 21 to 25 Celsius. Before I water her, I poke my moisture meter because I want to make sure I don't overwater. I water her once a week with nutrients. My water is filtered via Brita. I miss her twice a day. I inspect daily for pests. What I'm trying to say is I'm taking care of her the same way I'm taking care of my philodendrons. And that would be one of my many mistakes in this story. 2 weeks later, exactly 17 days after I have received her, I saw these yellowed edges on the leaves. It's everywhere. I was really shocked because I remember checking her the day before and those yellowing weren't there. I feel like she just yellowed in a snap, like overnight. So right away I checked the roots because I was thinking it could be root rot. Nope, there was no root rot. Second, the soil is still very much moist, but it wasn't wet. Back then, I was thinking that maybe it was overwatered and maybe something about the drainage hole, maybe a leca was blocking it and so the water pooled. But nope, that wasn't the case. And third, most importantly, there were no pests. I verified because I have this, one of those things you buy from Amazon, which lets you magnify, kind of like a little microscope. Nonetheless, I changed the soil. I actually increased the perlite to make it more breathable. I, of course, have checked on Google, but unfortunately, there's nothing comprehensive about the care other than 3 plant selling websites, and they're all saying contradictory things. One would say, keep the soil really wet. The other says, high humidity, but what do you mean by high? How high is high? Luckily, on Facebook, I'm a member of this plant group called Philodendron Enthusiasts. There's also an Anthurium version for that. It's called Anthurium Enthusiasts. I posted, included all of the information I have told you so far. Then the first commenter was this woman who just tagged a bunch of people. It's coming across to me that there's an anti-Lynn society. Gabriella tagged Sai, says ahead of time tag. Nathan said he called it an evil trash plant on my thread once. It means it's been a topic. Of course it is. And then Gabriella said, this plant is notorious for just just dying if one little thing is off. Be prepared for a lot of yellowing and a lot of browning. It's kind of part of owning them. They are high anxiety plants. And then Michael said they should come with a complimentary prescription. Okay, this is fun. Then Sai said, have you ever walked into a greenhouse that was so claustrophobically humid that you almost felt short of breath? That's how Lynnhannoniae likes it. Also, cooler temperatures and good airflow. But what she truly thrives on is human anguish. Okay, I get that. Maybe I should be more anxious, should give her more emotions. And Gabriella made a comment about this. Sai, I will also add it, need consistent human sacrifice and war chants. What are war chants? And then Michael, I have no words of wisdom. Mine went from perfect to hammered. Poop emoji in under 48 hours. Roots and stems are still perfect, no leaves left though. Christiana said, pray honestly, maybe a sacrifice of some sort to the Arachne gods. That's what I was thinking. I was like thinking of like making a sun dance. I don't know, offer a sheep. Gabriela said, Christiana, sorry I didn't tag you. Oh, you see what I mean? There's a club. And Alex said, firstborns usually do the trick, or so I hear. Kyle said, best way to take care of them is to leave them in habitat, meaning stop making them as houseplants. So far, that's what we've gathered at this point. The care is, it likes high humidity, 90 and up, a drop in temperature, really picky, any random change, it could just go yellow on you, and good airflow. So I was like, okay, basically Tarzan's environment. How am I supposed to provide that in Paris? Where I live, it's not really dry, but I don't have that 90% humidity because I don't live in a sauna. I live in an apartment. First of all, how the F do I make the temperature drop at night? I'm not God. My first immediate solution is to water it. Next, I place a plastic bag on it. You know those plastic bags where you put fruits in at the market, at the grocery store? That one. After I placed that plastic bag, humidity was 99%. The next day, I woke up to the most important comment. So this is no, nothing you are doing is right for this finicky plant. Water daily, humidity 85% plus, 55 to 70 degrees, and low light. It will most likely die if you do not meet these conditions. Also, wrong name. Philodendron Furcatum is this plant. Okay, I just had a major overload of information and now you're telling me it's a Furcatum? Never heard of that plant. And this was sold to me as Lynn. Like, I was skeptical about what he said, so since I can't find any Google information, I went to Instagram by using hashtags. Look at that, it's not just for attention. On Instagram, all with the hashtag Lynnhannoniae are all mostly saying bad things about it. For example, this one. The caption reads, this Philodendron Lynnhannoniae gets special mention today because I just received it and it may not survive for very long. This was an outcome of a mistake and serves as a reminder to myself not to get overly excited whenever I see something with corrugated leaves. Unfortunately for me, this gorgeous thing is somewhat of an intermediate grower, even though the sellers listed it as intermediate warm. I have gone past the stage where I would tell myself and others that I am taking this as a challenge because unless I have a cool house built, these plants will be more than a challenge. I will see how it goes. So, and then I tried the hashtag Philodendron Furcatum and I found some that has shared their success stories. So for example, this one, it says Philodendron Furcatum was sold to me as Philodendron corrugatum. Growing it this past year has been a roller coaster, but I did find out that it loves constant humidity and the leaves like to stay on the wet side. It also prefers cooler temperature. I keep it near my cold growing Dracula orchids and I water it twice a day and it gets constant air movement. It also likes to be in the shade. Any brighter light gives it crispy tips. After finding its perfect spot in the greenhouse, it's been growing a new leaf almost every other week. With Lynnhannoniae hashtags, I was getting more of the so beautiful, but it's just not gonna last with me. Meanwhile, with Furcatum, I was getting more like, oh, this was sold to me as Lynnhannoniae, but it's Furcatum, and this is how I manage it. I mean, you can check it out for yourself. There's also a commenter who shared 2 links. The links are below. You can go check them out, but I'm gonna save you some time. The difference between Furcatum and Lynnhannoniae. When you look at the back, Furcatum has more like a fuzzy kind of petiole. You know how Verrucosum has like those fuzzy things? Kind of like that. Whereas Lynnhannoniae would have a smoother petiole. If you place them beside each other, they're mostly like identical twins. Like, it's really hard to tell the difference unless you look. And null is basically saying that my Lynnhannoniae, it's actually a Furcatum. For this, I don't really know if I would agree with him because he didn't really see my plant up close. Mine doesn't have the fuzzy petioles, or maybe just because it's young and it's not showing the petioles the same way as Monstera deliciosa wouldn't really see the rippled petioles after some time, so who knows. Basically, he said both species have basically the same requirements though, but Lynnhannoniae is more forgiving. So actually, it doesn't matter if it's a Lynnhannoniae or a Furcatum. It's just a matter of survival at this point. So for the sake of transparency, I'm going to just show you what the links are. So this is like a question of Philodendron Lynnhannoniae versus Furcatum versus corrugatum. And it says Philodendron Lynnhannoniae can be confused most easily with P. Furcatum growth and DC Bay, which I'm not sure what that means, but that species has blades that are more triangular in shape and widest near the base, with a lower surface much paler than the upper surface and major veins much darker than the blade below. Its primary lateral veins are more widely spaced and are more conspicuously branched. It also has a very different inflorescence with a tube, not as directly bulbous, and the spadix located entirely within the spade rather than protruding from the tube is the case with Philodendron Lynnhannoniae. Philodendron Lynnhannoniae is found in Colombia and Ecuador at 380 to 1,800 meters in pre-montane, west forest, and pre-montane rainforest life zones. You mean to say they can live at 1,800 meters? That's just... okay, now I understand what it means by a lot of humidity but cold environment. So since knowing all of this, I've moved Lynn to one of my Detolf IKEA cabinets. Just so you know, we are on week 5 of the confinement here in France. I bought my 2 IKEA Detolf cabinets just right before the confinement, and so I haven't really done so much work. I mean, I can't really tell the cups that my greenhouse is essential. Even if it is, I just use whatever I have at home. Basically, I put some of my grow lights. I put some plants that are not really thriving where they were. Put my extra humidifier in there. Lynn was seated at the bottom where she's not really getting a lot of light from the grow lights. Plus, I put her still in her plastic bag tent. I know, it sounds like Inception, you know, like a greenhouse inside a greenhouse. I'm just really trying so hard to make her live. So I make sure her soil is wet. At night, I put a fan directly facing her pot. Like I've said, I have a black slate terracotta pot, so it's kind of absorbing the cold with the fan. Because, you know, drop in temperature at night. Her normal temperature is 19 Celsius, and at night it goes down at 16. As for the general temperature of the greenhouse of the IKEA cabinet, it's 24 Celsius. I make sure she has good airflow. There's actually holes in her bag. I literally check on her like every 30 minutes. And you know, everyone in that greenhouse are all thriving and making babies except for Lynn. So 15 days later, after all of that happened, from the first time it started yellowing, here she is. Are you ready to see her? Are you ready to get hurt? I'm not. Are you ready? There you go. This is what happened. So I lost 2 leaves already. They went completely yellow, completely crispy and brown and just dead, and they fell off by themselves. It's the only one that's pretty normal. Had those little stuff over there. As you can see, the yellowing. But the strange thing is, it keeps putting out new growth. I should be happy about that. But the new leaves that it has put out so far, they're completely deformed. I can't really show you one because it fell off too, but it was here. It came out like a little baby and then it's just deformed. It's pale. It has not a lot of texture. It didn't even unfurl. And the latest leaf looks more normal, so I'm getting a lot of hope right now. That's the newest leaf. I sincerely wanted to keep the 2 yellow leaves for the sake of this video. I even put this stick, not the prettiest stick. I swear to God, this is the first plant I just couldn't read. I just couldn't. I'm trying to make her happy, but I'm not sure if she's happy. I will definitely keep you posted on how this goes, if it dies, if it lives. I will try my best. Funny enough, when I've given up trying, that's when she put out this more normal leaf. So Maybe she's just acclimating. I don't know, Lynn. Please don't die on me. My advice is, if you're gonna buy this plant, just make sure you have the habitat for it to live. Long story short, what it wants is, it wants humidity of 85 and up. If you can possibly give it 90, 95, that would be perfect. It wants cold environment. There are some cooling system out there in the market. It's just a taboo in France to have air conditioning systems, so I'm just not even gonna go there. So that's why I was using a fan. She likes to be watered a lot, keep the soil wet. But there's this one commenter, Mithan, said, no, I had one of these do well. I'm guessing Furcatum, outdoors in my backyard through some really hot parts of summer, 90+ degrees. I'm assuming this is Fahrenheit, but getting watered 2 to 3 times a day. So I messaged him back, hi Mithan, so far I've controlled humidity and light, but it's the required cold temperatures at night that I couldn't promise to provide. So you're saying as long as I water it frequently, it should do well even if it's warm, hot? He responded to me, Micah, I think whatever you're keeping it in, consistency is important. It does not like a change in locations. It can easily rot if it's not well rooted before you water it often. Getting it established is key in my experience to how much water it can take. I keep it pretty dryish but very humid until I saw good roots. The roots are just like this small. The rest is just like extra potting medium mix that I added so it has space to grow. So this is why I'm not really watering her daily. I would water her every 2 to 3 days. You just have to really keep on trying and see what it likes. You know, it's just constant observation. Be careful with changes with this plant. Try to be always consistent with it. Anyway, if you came in here looking for information and I have not really satisfied you with that, I'm very so sorry. I mean, I'm not a botanist. I'm just a plant lover with experience, and this is what I've gathered so far. But the takeaway of this video is, I am warning you, especially if you're about to buy one. The goal of this video is, if I can help just one person, just one, then this is all worth it. If you have any suggestions for me on how to care for this plant, or if you have any success stories on raising this plant or horror stories, please leave a comment below. Better yet, if you have any other plant related stories, positive or negative, email me and I'll be happy to read them in here. See you again next time for another episode on the scandalous lives of the real houseplants of Paris. Bisous!